Peace, Chiefs and Dares. It's Bronzebird here with another video. Before I begin, like and subscribe. Thank you. So, you know, it fascinates me. We have these conversations and makes me be reminded of usually public figures, i.e., rappers for the most part, who always say, my hood, this is where I'm from, my hood, my hood, my hood. And then it starts to become a popularity contest with pretty much our brothers most of the time, where they start to say my hood is better than your hood and this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. We never get to the nitty gritty of the problem. We have an understanding since primarily the 60s that the hood was to be for the slums, for those who are not making anything of themselves. Whether you want to say it's from the government or not, we have an understanding the conditions that it is, right? And so my message for today is to say to brothers, the hood is not anything to really glare at. You can be proud of where you're from. You could adore where you live, but understanding what the hood is supposed to serve as, in my opinion, is supposed to be a place where you start off when we're talking about economics. Because too many times I'm seeing brothers, that's older than me, usually older than me, brothers that's like in their 40s and 50s, still walking around with EBT cards, SNAP, and this, that, and the third. And, they're just well suited and having a comfortable job, but they just become too comfortable in their environment. There's others that's ambitious, others out there that see that the hood is not for them, would rather move to the suburbs and, stuff like that. And then it's always these conversations, how come these celebrities and these public figures make all this money but never get back to the hood? Well, the thing about it is, you should be able to give something to your hood while you live there if you care for your community. And the thing about it is, too many times people out here are wishing that these random people is going to do these things for you because you live in the hood and play all these sorrowful games. My point in the message is, the hood is the starting point. It's not supposed to be somewhere you live all your life. It's a starting point. If you know your community is stagnant and is not moving in a better direction, then you know that you have to get out of there and go to a different place in order to level up economically. So I'm going to show you this video today and show you a little bit more inspiration, that is, for this topic. So peep.
And I want to share with you a young man who grew up in the hood, in the midst of gangs, in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of difficulty, but was able to escape all of that. I'm still here. That's right. 100 days in a tent on the south side of Chicago. That's where I'm making my home, right back there. Thank you for being with us on our Rooftop Revelations, night after night, day after day. Thanks to Fox for giving me this platform. And tonight I want to jump right in and I want to share with you a young man who grew up in the hood, in the midst of gangs, in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of difficulty, but was able to escape all of that and do something with his life that we're trying to get a lot of young Black brothers to do.
And the ironic part that I find rather intriguing is that subconsciously we adore the hood even by the television shows that we watch. Too many times I'm seeing these programs, and which is something I loosely touched on in one of the Brownstone Powwow solos that I did, in which I touched on the fact of the matter, how do we measure success for so-called Black men when you have brothers like 50 Cent, who's the executive producer of a show, and created a whole entire enterprise off of that show called Power. Now, don't get me wrong, the acting in it was pretty good. I wouldn't say phenomenal, but it was pretty good. It was very drama. series-based type of thing, but what was the overall premise of that show? To express a drug dealer that made an enterprise off of drugs and killing all these random people, right? Now you have the show BMF, you have The Shy, and all these different things. We cannot complain about the media doing its job to facilitate the same type of rhetoric that so-called Black people do not like to be affiliated with. You understand? My thing about it is that all these shows and all these raps and all these different things are going to continue to happen. And you guys have to make the discernment whether you want it to represent you or you're going to fight back against it and say, hey, I'm not watching this. I'm not listening to this. See, it's a very simple concept. And I know this brother is going to go on what he's saying, but it's something I really have to say because a lot of people say they don't like this, they don't like that, but you're still enduring your minds into it based upon subconsciously what you're listening to. And I'm guilty of it as well. I understand cognizantly the music I listen to is still like certain things. It just don't. I understand it's gang affiliated and it's talking about shooting and guns. I recognize that, but I make the discernment. I know for sure this isn't for me. So
I want to welcome tonight Tim Richards here to the rooftop where we're having this rooftop revelation. And I want to jump right in. Here's the question. How did you end up learning to be a pipe fitter? Because you from the hood, man. You deep in the hood too. You ain't just you from the hood of hoods. And but you a pipe fitter. You make
that doesn't matter. And I mean I understand Corey Brooks, Pastor Corey Brooks is bringing that up as a conversation, but it doesn't matter if you're from the hood. What matters is your persona, what are you giving to the table, and how hard you work. Perseverance. I know brothers right now that might have had the same old jobs that so-called Black people usually get, whether it's being working in a post office, working for security, or working, the same jobs we usually work. But I make this episode to say it's more opportunities out there. I definitely do want to see our brothers get into tech. I definitely want to see our brothers get into maybe even media, just like this brother, Pastor Corey Brooks to the left. We have to find a way where we're expanding our minds and looking at better options. The thing that I stress about this whole entire thing is there's no limits on our potential. Yes, we're under the so-called white rulership, okay, whatever. But at the same time, nothing stopped those people out in Atlanta, or Georgia that is, from buying up 19 acres of land. Nothing stopping these people, our people, for getting into real estate and buying up acres of land and creating a trust and all these different things. The power is in your hand. In the hood doesn't necessarily hold you back, but at the same time, you should be looking at the hood as motivation to move from there. Not to still be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old and looking at the hood where you've lived since you was just a child and just being like, oh, well, I live here and this, that, and third, and you're still surviving on government assistance. You should be using government assistance as a tool to not use it anymore by the time you're grown. And if you do have children, in my opinion.
Making good money, taking care of yourself. How did that happen?
It was kind of forced upon me.
Okay.
My pop, I grew up in the trades, and so he was teaching me, how to work on boilers and furnaces, but he kind of took me in, made me go down there and sign up.
So your dad made you go down and sign up to be a pipe fitter.
Correct.
Man.
And that's a very good thing because the guidance of a father figure, or a fellow man that can help you, see the potential in yourself, that's something that needs to be praised. You understand? It doesn't matter. A lot of stuff, electrician work and all these different things, I've heard from brothers as electricians. There's always options. The problem is there are certain brothers out there that don't view the world as they have to just stay where they have to stay confined to where they're at. And worst of the worst, brothers in the red pill space, so-called manosphere, and this, that, and the third, will sit up there and say, those are Pookies and Ray Rays. You understand? This should be a conversation of so-called Black men of developing themselves and elevating. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Some of your friends who didn't have dads in their life to make them get up and go learn a trade, where are they? What are they doing? What's going on with them?
Man, it's unfortunate, but a lot of them, deceased or in jail.
So it's a lot of guys deceased and in jail because they didn't get the proper guidance, they didn't get the proper direction. And that's what we're trying to prevent. That's the reason why we're trying to build this center. Because I really do believe in my heart that even in the absence of fathers, I promote fathers being in their child's life. But we all know that that's not going to happen in a lot of cases on the South Side. But we got to build institutions that come alongside these single mothers and give these young brothers maybe a trade.
And I'm not going to try to go into the wormhole of why single mothers in the so-called Black community, it is what it is. We can go off of the fact of the matter that fathers do not take care of their responsibilities. Also that mothers use the court system against men and stuff like that. I'm not getting into that conversation. What I will say is this: it comes to a certain point in life, whether we're saying the psychological effects of the so-called Black man being raised by a single mother is not going to matter at a certain age. When you get a job, the hiring manager or the hiring person's, the employer, is not going to give a damn that you was raised by a single mother. All he wants to know is, can you get the job done? And the thing about it is, brothers have to understand, when you get into a job, stop calling it the plantation. Stop calling it, because this is the thing. You have to think from a standpoint, jobs are there to teach you something. It's supposed to make you experience something. And it's something you're supposed to use as a tool. Everything in life is supposed to be a tool for you, whether that be money, whether that be a job, whether it be where you live, whether it be something that you do for a living, right? And the thing about it is, too many times that we'll have these conversations, brothers will say, I'm going to the plantation, I'm working, and this, that, and the third. When I look at work, I'm looking at work as just a tool that I need to assess or access where I want to be in life. Now, if I determine a career and I say, hey, I just want to work in this, that, and third, cool. But I do believe we need more so-called Black men to own businesses. I do believe that so-called Black men should be able to have thousands of corporations, and so-called Black men should be involved in the things that's basically affecting society right now, especially since we're talking about trade and we're talking about the fourth industrial period, which is all tech and technology. Excuse me, I'm saying tech and technology. Technology, right? Should be that.
It could be just like you, working hard. You know, one of the things I love about you is that you work hard. Nobody has to tell you get up. No, you're not lazy, is what I'm saying. You're not depending on government, you're not depending on me, you're not depending on anybody else to do it. You actually get out there and hustle and do it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you think, last question I want to ask you this. Do you think we could be successful if we get other young men these opportunities?
Definitely. I definitely do. I think it has been, a lot of, I just said a lot of resources that I've seen, that have come through you. You know what I mean? I've been watching throughout the years. I've been around this church for a decade or more, and I've just witnessed, like my buddy Rafa built this, and it's amazing. You know what I mean? Some of these things that, who would think that a porch could be built on top of Connex? I have a 40-foot Connex box myself over there where I stay. And who would have thought that a porch, or a deck structure could be built, on top of a Connex box? So I definitely think, it would be advantageous for us to pull young men in the trades. Definitely.
That's what we're going to do. That's the reason why we got Project Hood. We're going to continue to build it and help as many brothers as we possibly can, so we can have a lot more Tims with trades,
a lot more use,
making money,
I appreciate it.
And taking care of the community. That's what it's all about. I love you,
That's
man.
a blessing.
Appreciate it.
Very informative conversation. The world is in your court. The ball is in your court. What you gonna do, so-called black man? Peace.